Hi everybody, welcome back to OC Aviary today for episode 6 of Breeding British Birds. Now coming up in this week's episode then, first off we're going to go and see the hawfinches. We're going to see how those guys are getting on. I've got some very exciting news to tell you about with those guys. Then for some of our other native birds, we've rung the first natives of the year just this past week. We've had some more chicks hatch as well, and we're also going to check in with our canaries as they finally left the nest. Now the first thing we need to do this week is make up some egg food. We've got plenty of hungry mouths to feed. We've got so many chicks appearing here, there and everywhere. So it's time to make up some soft food. So we're going to pop in the house and get it prepped. Back in the bird room then, we're going to begin with our European hawfinches. Now, in last week's episode, we finally had some good news coming from these guys, is that the hen had gone to nest and she's got 4 eggs at the back of this flight. And that is still the case. So far, things are going well with this pair and I hope it continues to be like that. The only thing that was slightly disappointing about it was that as soon as the hen started to nest and sit on the eggs, she turned on the cockbird. She completely snapped and decided to try and kill him, which was not ideal. I came in the shed and found him being pinned down by the female, being plucked and had been got round the neck by her with her beak. And obviously, hawfinches are quite territorial birds anyway. They do have quite complex social behaviours. So I have got to take that into account. It was something that can happen with them. Thankfully, he's okay. I've since removed him. We've made sure he was all right. He's not injured. He was just a bit beat up. So he's gone into a small cage at the moment just to get his strength back and make sure he's all right. And what I've been doing is I've been putting him on the sink for about half an hour to an hour each day and just keeping him familiar with the female. She can see him, he can see her. They can interact through the mesh without getting each other, because I still want to keep them as a pair eventually going forward, because he has filled the eggs. I've candled the eggs are full, so they are clearly a compatible pair, although they do have their disagreements, shall we say, every once in a while. So far, generally quite good with the hawfinches. She's been sat for 10 days now, so because of that, the chicks are going to be due just this coming weekend, maybe early into next week. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep us fingers crossed and hopefully we'll have some really great news to show you next week. Hawfinches are notoriously difficult to breed. So one of the things that I've tried to do to limit disturbances and for my peace of mind and making sure everything's okay is I've got a small little camera going through here, over the top and into the cage. And it's a little endoscope facing on to the nest site. So it means I can monitor the nest without disturbing the hen, and we can see how the chicks are getting on and see how she's getting on. So if we do have to do any sort of intervention whatsoever, then I can get there before it's too late, ideally. So I'll also be able to capture footage of the chicks as they hatch, and hopefully all going well when the mother feeds them as well. But you'll have to see in next week's episode how we get on. The European greenfinches have provided us with some early success. In this central cage here, we've got a nest of 4 chicks that we saw hatched in last week's episode. Those chicks have now reached about 10 days old. The parents are doing a great job of them. They're all developing really nicely, filling out well, and all of a similar size too, so they're all being fed quite equally, and they've always got full crops, which is brilliant to see. Now, at 5 days old, we had to remove the chicks for a short while just to put some rings on them. So I put some BBC closed rings rings on them. These are E-rings, obviously 2024 rings, and they provide me with a load of unique points to identify the birds and build a pedigree around them from their parents. So it's quite ideal doing that, and I'll leave a link in the description to the BBC rings if you're looking to buy some. But the chicks are doing superb. The parents are feeding them right now, actually, which is great to see. And with our other pairs of greenies, first off, we have this pair up here. Sadly, we had some clear eggs off the hen who was with a different cockbird. So what I've done is I've changed the cockbirds, and I'm hoping this third time round now we will get some eggs off her that will be full. So what I've done is I've put a different cockbird in, and as soon as I put him in, they mated about 5 or 6 times and were displaying and singing to each other. So I'm hoping a couple of eggs in the coming days, and we might get some more young greenies to join us in the next few weeks. We also have a pair down the bottom here. They're looking good, but sadly they're on clear eggs as well. So a few things to change. And then over at the far side, we have our aluminium flight cage, and the hen is on 5 eggs from the same cockbird at the top, and she's looking quite good so far. I don't know if they're full yet. She's only been sat 2 days, but I'm hoping some more greenie chicks to come soon. It's been a few weeks since we checked in with the frill canaries. So for this season, we've got 6 pairs of frill canaries along the bottom row. We've got 3 pairs of whites and 3 pairs of normals. There's a couple of cinnamons mixed in there as well. And their chicks are doing superb. So we had 4 nests of chicks. All of those chicks have now fledged the nest. So I think there's 17 or 18 chicks amongst the 4, so really quite good numbers so far. We've got a mix of normals, which are visually yellow birds, with a couple which are slightly ticked. We also have a number of whites as well, some of those which are ticked, and we've also bred a clear fawn. So this is a white bird with a red eye. It's got the cinnamon gene. It's a visual cinnamon, so it's a hen, and yeah, it's a white ground bird. So it's quite an interesting one. I've never seen a clear fawn before, but a lovely little bird as well. So they've all jumped the nest. They're about 3 weeks old now, and they've started to feed themselves. Only briefly, very small amounts. They're picking up some of the green starter feed that we've got and some of the egg food I'm putting in for them. And I'm also giving them a little bit of blue moor, which are very small seeds, to just help get them feeding themselves. They've also been trying to feed each other, the chicks, which is quite nice to see. So they're sort of helping and encouraging one another to feed themselves. So it'll probably be another week or 2 before we look to wean them off and move them into the young bird room. But for now, they're all doing a great job. The parents have been pulling at some of them, trying to get feathers to go back to nest with and rebuild the nest. But so far, so good with the North Dutch frills, and I'm quite happy with their progress. We have some great news coming from the lesser redpolls this past week. So in this cage down here, in last week's episode, we saw we had some fella eggs off this pair. So she laid 3, 2 of them were clear, but 1 of them was full. That chick hatched about 4 days ago now, and she's doing an excellent job in rearing that lone chick. So I'm really quite pleased with that, particularly for a young hen. Often they don't know what to do on the first round, but she knew exactly what she was doing, and that chick is looking excellent. With the 2 clear eggs that were in there, I did remove them and add 2 false eggs, and the reason for that was 1, so the clear eggs didn't smash, and 2 was to allow the chick to lean on something solid as it puts its head up to be fed by the mother, and it has worked quite nicely so far. So that chick will be able to be rung in a day or so now, I believe. For this pair here, they had some eggs due this week. Turns out I got the dates slightly wrong when she began sitting, but they are now definitely due today, and I think there's 1 or 2 in there that are definitely full from what I've seen. So that's quite nice, and hopefully we'll have some more chicks coming very soon. We have 2 pairs here, both sat on clutches of 5 full eggs, and it's lovely to see the variation in these nests. So these ones, they're due in about a week's time. Hopefully for next week's episode we'll see. And this pair are due probably next weekend or so, so it'll be in a couple of episodes time you'll see their chicks. But these guys have quite pale blue eggs, which are nice and speckled. This pair have got almost solid blue eggs that kind of look like the false eggs, which is quite interesting. And for the 2 pairs at the top, We saw last week they've been slow to start. They have now both built nests to some capacity. I'm just waiting on some eggs to follow. So hopefully within the next couple of days we'll get some movement from them. But so far, things are looking up with the lesser redpolls. Anyway, everyone, that's all we've got time for this week's episode. If you've enjoyed today and you'd like to see more, please make sure to subscribe down below. That'd be very much appreciated. Smash a like on this video and make sure to follow us on social media, Instagram and Facebook, to see daily updates and behind the scenes footage of all of our birds. Now, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.